What was it like working with the Master Jedi and the guy that trained Batman?
God.
And Zeus.
And Zeus.
Yes.
Well, it's really surprising I wasn't kidnapped this time.
That's very good. No, you
Not
weren't.
one Albanian was
Not
shot
one Albanian.
making this
No.
movie.
Nobody was
Not
killed.
one.
Nobody was killed. There was a lot of love.
A lot of love. A little bit of
A lot of
hatred.
humour, which the film definitely has. And a lot of compassion.
Let me ask you, we've just finished the film. We've literally just finished the film. How are you feeling? Michael, this is your first movie. How are you feeling?
A little emotional. I'm trying not to cry. I don't know, I'm kind of at a loss for words.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled we can do another little notch. And also thrilled to have worked with James D'Arcy, our
D'Arcy.
wonderful actor, writer, and director. It's been an absolute superb experience for me, having made 67 films, I think, and worked with some wonderful directors, Scorsese, Spielberg.
Here he goes again.
I'm going to shut up. Anyway, James was fantastic. And it is a great story. It's a great story about family and love and compassion and loss and humour.
How was that to work father and son, playing father and son?
It was funny. I had to keep saying to myself, don't act with your son. You are his father. You don't have to act being a dad. I had to keep saying that to myself, you know.
And I feel like there were definitely moments when you two were not acting, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
How did it feel when Michael would be giving you notes?
You know, he did give me a couple of notes, and I did think about them. I thought, actually, he's right. Yes,
Yeah,
he's right.
there are a few times your first instincts were actually really funny, but then you'd go back and not
Not trust
second
him.
guessed it, yeah.
So let me ask you just a couple of questions about the story. Look, obviously it has some crossover with your actual life, and as most of us who are creative people do, we're attracted to some stories that we feel we can, mine certain parts of emotions that we've already experienced. How did you feel about approaching the aspect of loss in this film?
Well, speaking for myself, I knew when I read the script, it touched me in ways that I recognized for obvious reasons. Michael lost his mother, I lost my wife 10 years ago, and tragically. And it just made me think, the actor in me made me think, okay, leave that alone. Don't worry about that, the emotion in that scene. That's going to happen, you know. So I never, and there's obviously some scenes where, we delve into that kind of darkness, and but it was cathartic. I know that's a word that's bandied around, but I found it quite cathartic in dealing with my own grief, with the loss of my wife, and to be able to do it through one's art, i.e. making a film, was very, very unique and very special.
Well, we talked about that when we first met. Because obviously this story has repercussions for me personally as well. My father died when I was young, and we talked about all of that when we first met, and our hopes that there would be catharsis in this film for all of us. You and I, Michael, talked about it when we first met as well. And I obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I had some trepidation for all of us. I'm sure you did as well, Liam. And Michael, maybe you did too. That, we were getting into an area that we wouldn't be able to really control in an artistic way, and of course we're making an entertainment. Mainly we're making an entertainment, not a film, but I mean, we're not in group therapy here, but
Yes.
Michael, how did you feel about approaching all of this stuff?
But, you know, at the start, obviously, when we read it, I mean, it was so close to us. And just kind of weird how it came into our lives at the time that it did. It's been 10 years since Mom passed. And I think from somebody who's lost a parent at a young age, there's a line in the film where Dad says, nobody knows how to do this. I don't think anybody does. But then when you're young, you experience something like that, and you almost, a lot of the time, you can shut down and stuff it in, which isn't the way I think you should grieve. You have to let it out. You have to cry. You have to... You can't push them out of your memory in any way. And that's kind of what I had done, as I'm sure many people have done. So in this process, I hope and I feel it has been kind of chipping away at parts of me that have kind of have locked it down deep down. And I definitely felt that throughout this. Stuff coming up that you're like, whoa, I'm like feeling things. I kind of feel like I want to cry. I don't know, it's a lucky experience being able to do it, especially with your dad.
But I also feel too, especially when I was watching Michael acting in little scenes I wasn't involved in, I thought, yeah, his mum would be really proud of what he's just done. Do you know what I mean? I could see her, like, you know, that throaty laugh of hers, you know. I could see her going, yeah, that's actually good. And, you know, her side of the family, let's talk about acting, her side of the family goes back. Lynn Redgrave, her aunt, Vanessa's sister, no longer with us. Her side of the family go back to the 1700s, from when they were rogues and vagabonds.
You said something after we'd been here for about a week, and it stayed with me for the whole shoot. That we did a scene, was not a big scene in the film, but you went up to Michael afterwards and you said, "Did you see the butterfly?" And Michael said, "No, I didn't. And you said, "Natasha's with us." And it really stayed with me that, you know, she was watching over you guys, me, this film.
Sure.
There are little signs.
Sure.
You just, yeah, you have to be open to, I guess. But it was an experience of a lifetime.
How did you find being in Italy? How did you find Tuscany?
Well, I'd worked in Italy about 3 times before, never in Tuscany. And it's one of those idyllic places you read about and want to see in films about, and documentaries and all the rest of it. We were kind of, not cursed, I don't like to use that word.
Bedeviled.
We were bedeviled by the first 3.5 weeks, certainly, of really bad weather and very, very unpredictable weather. And I felt so bad for the wine growers, who were very, very concerned for their harvest this year, because we are in a region that makes some of the best red wine and white wine in the world, period. And then about a week and a half before we wrapped, it just all changed, and just the magic of the place just came alive. I mean, it was quite magical when it rained, but the smells and the history and the...
It's also such a nice way of life here. The Italians are really open people, I feel. If they're feeling angry or pissed off, you know about it. If they're feeling happy and joyful, you know about it. There's no, you know.
And how did you find our Italian crew?
They're brilliant.
Superb. Absolutely superb.
Superb.
Every one of them.
I would agree. They're amazing.
And,
really amazing.
and that's the great thing about making films, you know. And I've made films, and I have to say, you know, like yourself, James, all over the world. But there's something about a film crew, and you may speak different languages, but you actually do speak the same language. You just look at each other and you know that light's not quite right. Kick it with your foot or whatever. There's just a language we all know, you know. And it's very special. Anytime we were acting scenes and stuff, of course, you're surrounded by a crew, and sometimes it's 30, 40, 50 people. But I always felt they were holding us up. Do you know what I mean? Like really supporting us, because they were into the story. They wanted to tell this story. They weren't just clocking in for another job. I just felt that real camaraderie, you know. It doesn't happen all the time, you know.